I'm going to move really fast. I'm not going to slow down, so you need to speed up and make sure you're there with us 100%. Okay? All right, so here we go. So, if anybody knows this man that I've just put on screen, his name is Howard Schultz. But does anybody actually know the story of Howard Schultz and what does he actually do? Well, Howard Schultz grew up in the Brooklyn projects in New York, and his family wasn't wealthy. They were exceptionally poor. And Howard Schultz wanted to get out of the projects. He wanted something different for himself. So he landed up getting a scholarship at the Michigan University. And what actually happened was that he got a football scholarship, which allowed him to play football. But more importantly, it allowed him to get the college education that he needed to get himself out of the situation that he was in. So Howard Schultz eventually got the scholarship. He completed his college degree. In fact, he was the only person in his family to have done this. Then he went on and he worked in a couple of jobs after university, and mostly sales jobs, until one day he landed up in a company where he was selling homeware items. Now, at the store, he kept on selling these homeware items, these coffee machines, to this one little company who was his biggest customer, called Starbucks. Now, Howard was so intrigued that this one little company kept on ordering so much equipment that he decided to get on a plane, fly to Seattle, and go and see this company personally. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but he fell in love with Seattle. In fact, he just knew he wanted to be there. Was his home base. So when he went to the Starbucks coffee, he actually was so impressed by the way that they ran the company, the way that the owners carefully selected the coffee beans to make the most amazing coffee. He knew right there and then that he wanted to be part of Starbucks coffee. Now, it took him more than a year of speaking to the owners, and eventually they brought him on as a sales director for Starbucks. And they sent him on a trip to Italy to do a little bit of reconnaissance. Now, when he got there, he noticed something very strange. He noticed that there was a coffee shop on every single corner in Italy. Now, he thought to himself, there's no ways that these people can drink so much coffee. It's unbelievable. Until an idea hit him. What he realized was that the coffee shops weren't just coffee shops. It was a lifestyle. It was a place for people to meet, to read a book, to read the newspaper, to get your day started, to have business meetings. The options were absolutely endless. So he brought this idea back to Starbucks and he said, guys, I've got it. I see this vision so clearly. We need to open up a Starbucks on every single corner in America. The owners of Starbucks shunned the idea. They said, well, we're actually just happy doing what we're doing. We're doing exceptionally well. We don't need to get any bigger. So Howard Schultz said, you know what? I see this vision so clearly that I need to leave this business. And he went and started up his own coffee shop. And within a year, he'd sold the business and he came back to the Starbucks business and then purchased it for $3.8 million. And the rest, they say, is history. I mean, the interesting thing about Starbucks coffee is that there's one in every single corner in America. It's a company that's literally shaped an industry. It personifies an industry of coffee. Everybody knows Starbucks, whether they've had one or whether they haven't had one. Now, for Howard Schultz, the reason that he's such a good business owner was because his values were so clearly defined. He knew what he wanted. The interesting thing is that when he talks to his staff, there's this one little phrase that defines who he is and who the company is. And that phrase is, we are not in the coffee business serving people. We're in the people business serving coffee. You see, the interesting thing is that with us all as entrepreneurs, we're all in the people business. And the people come first. Our values need to be so clearly defined. Who we are needs to be so clearly defined. Our vision needs to be so clearly defined, because if it's not, how can we share that with anybody else? So, as we get into this training today, what I want you to do, and when you take down notes today, don't take down notes with having the idea to follow through. I want you to take down notes as action steps. What am I going to do today that is going to move me forward tomorrow? So the first thing that we look at is we say yes, and we figure out how. You see, the greatest entrepreneurs get presented with opportunities every single day. What we do with these opportunities really defines who we are. Now, if you're going to wait, I mean, I know there are people who are perfectionists out there, but if you're going to wait for something to be built before you take action, well, it's just never going to happen. So what we do here at Millionaire Maker Africa is that we say yes and we figure out how. We figure out how to build a wealth mindset. Because let's be honest, wealthy people do think differently than poor people. We say yes to make fast cash, even though it scares us to go out and sell. We say yes to creating our future because sometimes we think that we're scared of our own success. It's funny, but it's true. And we also say yes to figuring out and to starting where you are. Because it doesn't matter whether you're in a job. It doesn't matter whether you have your own company. It does not matter. It does not matter, as Brian would say, it does not matter who you are today. It matters who you want to become. And that's what we need to focus on. So what we're doing today is we've got the 7 pillars of a successful business. The first pillar of a successful business is your vision and your conditioning. So your vision is the big picture. Your vision is that big, scary, unachievable goal. It needs to be so big that you can't physically achieve it every single day. You have to work at it every single day to get another step closer to attaining that vision. But it'll always be just out of reach. So we're going to go into it shortly, how to actually create that vision. But think big. Think exceptionally big. Think unattainably big. Then we're going to start looking at your conditioning. As I said before, rich people think differently than poor people do. Salespeople think differently. CEOs think differently. Managers think differently. Different people think differently. Now, I want to get you guys thinking big. I mean, really big. So one of the biggest things is how you perceive what you do, the service that you provide. Most people say to me that they hate sales. Well, you only hate sales because you're thinking of it as sales. You're not thinking it as serving a greater need. Everybody has something that they're good at. Everybody has something that they can share. But everybody is scared to sell their service. It makes no sense. But we'll go more into that in a second. The next thing that you need is your strategies and tactics. And these are the actual physical day-to-day to-do items that you need in order to attain your vision, to get your mind thinking wealthy. These are daily tasks that you need to fulfill to move one step closer to getting to your vision. These don't end, and they always change. You need to have your revenue modeling. Now, revenue modeling, you might say, well, that sounds very much like budgeting. But the reason that I say revenue modeling is that we want to scale up. Budgeting is very limiting. Budgeting means that you have a certain amount of money and you've got to break it down and use X amount use certain bits for certain functions. Revenue modeling, we're scaling up. We're looking at how much money do I need to make in order to get to the next level. How can I create more money on a daily, consistent basis to move my business forward? And these are supported by your strategies and tactics. So your revenue modeling is your big picture. What is the big amount that I need to get? Your strategies and tactics are how do I get to that big amount and what I need to do on a daily basis to get there. The formula that we like to use in Millionaire Maker Africa is 12-4-5. So think about your big number. What do you want to achieve in a year? All right. Is it $1 million? Is it 2 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 20 million? What do you want to achieve in a year? And be realistic. I mean, if you're only making 100,000 now, the chances that you're going to be making 10 million in a year's time is not going to be that great unless you come up with something fantastic and your strategies and tactics are absolutely airtight to get there. But be realistic. So think about your big goal. What is the goal that you want to achieve in the year? How much money do you want to come through your account in that year? Divide that by 12. That'll give you the monthly figure of what you need to get. Divide that by 4. That'll give you the weekly figure that you need to get. Divide that by 5, and that'll give you the daily figure that you need to get. The reason I want to use a daily figure is because if you set a yearly figure of 2 million rand or 2.5 million rand, for example, you don't feel the domino effect of that on a daily basis. But if you have to make 10,000 or 12,000 rand a day and you miss 5 days, you feel yourself falling behind and you feel that, okay, I need to now make up 60,000 rand. It's difficult. So when you feel that pressure, you move more, and your strategies and tactics are supported more because your conditioning is going to be stronger. Your mindset is going to be a go-getter mindset. We want to move forward with this. So we'll go more into your revenue modeling now, but the next step is protecting your business. Now, this is an interesting one because a lot of people out there who run businesses are still running as sole traders. If you're still running as a sole trader, you need to change that right now. And what I'd like to do is, can you just type in the box how many of you have your own business? You can just say yes. Okay. So the interesting thing is that there are quite a few people that have their own business. Now, if you have your own business, I want you to really think about this. Is your business registered? Is it protected in an entity? Is it a CC, PTY? What is your business registered in? So we'll get to more of that in a second. So once you've got your business protected, you need to do marketing. Marketing, 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 marketing. There are two things that a business needs. Without these, there is no business, which is marketing, and the next one is sales. Without sales, you have no profit. Without profit, you have, without customers, without sales, you have no customers. Without customers, you have no profit, and without profit, you have no business. If you do not have any profit coming into your business, you do not have a business. It's just as simple as that. And the interesting thing is that people think that, you shouldn't make more money on your product or service. In fact, the more profit you make on your product and service, the better you can service your customers, because you have extra money to spend in R&D. You have extra money to hire new staff to improve your customer service. You have the extra money to upgrade your facilities. The more profit you make, business is based on profit. The more profit you make, the more you can serve your customers. And remember, we're all in the people business. If we can serve our people better, we get rewarded better. It's even in every religious book. Those that serve the most get rewarded the most. The last is your team and your leadership. Because without a team, you cannot grow your business. Without you leading and guiding your team, you cannot grow your business. It will stay very linear and you'll only get so far. So this is me. My name is Matt Clark. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And the reason I say this is because I love starting up businesses, but not only starting businesses, but sharing the information that I've gained. And, I've gone through a lot of things in my life and it's been exceptionally difficult, but I want to share this information with you so you don't have to go through the downfalls that I had. I'm an author. I've written a book. It's called The First Sales Book, The Proven Value Path. You can see it at www.thefirstsalesbook.com. I'm a cold calling expert, and my actual background has been in door-to-door sales. So I don't know if any of you have actually done door-to-door sales before, but it's not the easiest business to be involved in. I've got some fantastic stories. I've got some horror stories that come through there, but there's no time for that today because I'm a little bit limited in my time. And I'm a wealth strategist because I love to share my wealth, the knowledge that I've gained from wealth, and to help you break through your barriers to get to the next level. You see, I've said yes many times in my life, and I want to share this with you because there's a link to what I'm doing now and to what I did before. So when I was 18 years old, I left to the UK because I didn't want to study and I didn't want to follow the normal route. So I decided to move to the UK, and little did I know that at that point in time, me saying yes to that decision would shape my future. In fact, I got a funny call from someone the one day, and I went for an interview in the UK, and they asked me to do all sorts of strange things. I mean, this interview, I was asked to sing songs, I was asked to tell jokes, I was asked to cluck like a chicken. It was absolutely unbelievable, this interview that I had to have. But it landed up being that I had to do door-to-door sales, and we were selling gas and electric. And little did I know at that point in my life that I was going to meet my business partners here in South Africa and grow to build a company worth 60 million rand in 3 years. Had I known then what I know now, it could have doubled, even tripled. So when I got back to South Africa, my friend phoned me the one day. I was working for a company. He phoned me on the Tuesday. He said, Matt, I've got the most amazing thing. You need to come and see me. I went and had an interview with him on the Wednesday, and I quit my job on the Thursday. From there, after working in that business for so long, we started our own telecoms company. And we grew that company to 60 million rand in 3 years by doing door-to-door sales. I've traveled South Africa. I've been to every single town in South Africa. I've dealt with people who are English, Afrikaans, Zulu, Xhosa, you name it, every single kind of person in South Africa. And I can tell you that there is one thing that is there is nothing different in business. Everybody faces the same challenges. Everybody goes through the same struggles. Everybody has similar successes. The biggest difference for me that I've noticed in business owners and entrepreneurs is their mindset and their willingness to get the job done. The most successful ones also have the biggest team and the most efficient and successful team around them. So I want you to think of this while we're going through this. How can I create my team around me? How can I get a team around me that can help me build my business and share my vision and take me to where I want to go? I said yes to writing a book, and writing a book is not as difficult as what people might think. Writing a book is exceptionally easy when you talk it. Because I also started writing a book. It took me 2 months to get anywhere, and I decided to talk it to somebody, and they then transcribed that for me. Why should you have a book? A book gives you credibility. Not only that, but a book allows you to share your ideas. A book allows people to shop for you, because it's not only about who you know, it's also about who knows you. And if people don't know how you're thinking, how do they know if they want to do business with you or not? So a book allows you to really share your thoughts. A book allows people to shop for you. And because of that, it gets you more business. People who have books get paid more money. It's quite simple. It's as simple as that. The last thing I did was I said yes to Millionaire Maker Africa. Now, I met a lady by the name of Laurel Langmeyer, and she is the Millionaire Maker. She's created over 2,000 millionaires worldwide. I attended a course which we now hold here. It's called 3 Days to Cash, and I made over 86,000 Rand in this course. And not only that, bearing in mind, I mean, that I'd had a business that had done 60 million turnover. And I went in this course, I made 86,000 Rand in 3 days, and I thought to myself, there's something here. This is something different to what I know. This is something that can be transcribed into every single business in South Africa. This is something that we South Africans need to know to move our businesses and our lives forward, because we don't have this kind of information available to us on a daily basis. So this is what I'm bringing to the table today. And I'd like to really share this with you. And remember, I want you to be taking action steps. If you haven't done any of these things I'm going to talk about, list it as an action step. And make sure that you put a day and a time to it, to when you want to get it done, and also who's going to help you get this done. It's called delegation. Right, so we're going to start off with your vision and conditioning. I've told you about this vision. So we look at something called the ROLT model, which is results, action, languaging, and thinking. Now, there are two kinds of ROLTs. There's your limiting, and then there's your believing. So what are your limiting results, your limiting actions, your limiting language, and your limiting thinking? And how can you reframe that so that it's in a positive light and it moves you forward? Well, we first got to start with your vision. So what does your vision entail? Well, your vision is your purpose. Your vision is your big, unattainable goal. Why are you here? Why does your business exist? What does it actually do? And I'm going to go through a couple of examples just now so that you can really see how to position your purpose. The next thing you're going to need is your mission, which is the actual physical steps on how you can attain your purpose. What are the to-dos? How do we get from A to B? How do we get from where we are right now to where we need to be? That is your mission, and it's a mission statement. If you put facts and figures and days and times, it becomes so much more powerful, and it allows you to get to your purpose so much quicker. The next is your descriptive narrative. Now, your descriptive narrative are the actual words. How do you say your purpose? What is your purpose, and how do you make it come to life? You see, when you're telling people your purpose, they need to be able to see it in their mind. It needs to be a vision that pops up clearly. They need to be able to feel it. It must elicit emotions. Because if people can identify with your vision, they will follow you. And not only your staff members, but your customers as well. Remember this. We are in the business, we are in the people business serving coffee. So if you think about how this is translated to the staff members, they're not thinking about making coffee. They're thinking about serving people. That is so powerful. If your vision is clear and concise, and people can follow it, they can see it, they can feel it, they can smell it, they can touch it, your business moves forward. Not only does your business move forward, but you land up getting a following. You land up becoming a trusted advisor. People don't look at you as a salesperson. They look at you as somebody who's there to serve their business. When you're serving people's business, you get rewarded more. And don't be afraid to accept those rewards. They're great. If you close yourself off to the rewards that you're given, then you won't be given any more rewards. The last thing that you need to have your vision is your values, right? And you need to understand that your values are completely different. Your business values and your personal values are two separate things. They're two separate entities. They're completely separate. So I'm going to break each one of these down now, and we're going to go through, I'm going to give you some examples as well. So for purpose, if anyone knows this company, this is Nike, one of the biggest companies in the world. Their purpose is to experience the emotion of competition, winning, and crushing competitors. Now, if you listen to that, you can see that this is something that's not going to be attained. It's not going to be attained one day and then that's it. This is something that needs constant work, constant effort, constant preparation, constant innovation. This is not a goal that can be achieved. This is a purpose. This is something that needs to be worked at every single day. Now, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I need to really drive this home. You have to work on it every single day. The next one is Walt Disney. Their purpose is to make people happy. I mean, how difficult is that to make people happy? People are constantly faced with challenges, and people are constantly faced with things that get in their way of moving them forward and just enjoying life in general. But Walt Disney's purpose is to make people happy. It's an ongoing thing. So, your mission, here's an example of a mission, and it's very clear, it's very concise. To increase revenues 15% within 2 years by adding high-speed internet access as an offering. Now you can see that this mission is clear and concise. And in your business, you need to be clear and concise. Because if people can see what you're doing and what you want to do, then you can fill in how you're going to get it done, which is supported by your strategies and tactics. Now, your descriptive narrative are words that elicit emotions, that paint a vivid picture. Get exceptionally clear with your descriptive narrative. Now, your descriptive narrative will tell you, it should tell you things like, why does your business exist? What does your business represent? Why you do the business you do? what it is that you do. What do you aspire to do? What is the experience of your customers? What are your values, and who do you serve? So these are some of the things that your descriptive narrative should have in there. Not all of them. Just choose a couple and get clear and concise, and make sure it comes from the heart. Make sure it elicits emotions. Say it out loud. Tell people about it. Get some feedback. Tweak it until it is at that point where it really gets the emotions going. Now, your business values and your personal values are two completely different things. I would recommend having between 3 and 6 values. Now, the reason I say that they're different is because in your personal life, you might value things like health, family, vitality. Whereas in your business, you might have values like connection, trust, ethics, hard work, people. So be very clear and concise about your business values and your personal values. Write all your values down, and then sift through those which are the most important for your business, which are going to serve your values, and which is going to serve your customers the best. And sift out the ones that are your personal values. Make 2 separate lists, because it's okay to have values, and you'll see that some of them will actually intertwine and overlap. But choose ones that are specific for your business and your business purposes, and choose the ones that are specific for your personal ones. Because what you'll find is that once your business values are exceptionally clear, you will then start attracting people to work for you that share the same values. One of the interesting things I find is that people always ask me, how do we recruit the right people for our business? Well, how you recruit the right people is by getting your business values clearly defined, and find people that have similar values. You're not going to find people with the same values, but find people that have similar values, and they will automatically enrich your business. Let's move on to strategies and tactics. So your strategy is the what, your tactics are the how. So there's a bit of a cycle that goes around here. So the first thing is you need to find your strategy. What is it? What are you actually going to do? Are you going to market on the internet? Are you going to do seminars? What are you going to do? All right. Get onto radio. Then you need to determine what is the cost and the time. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I'm running out of time here. Okay. So you need to determine the cost and the time. What is it going to cost for you to do this? What is it going to cost for you to fulfill these strategies, and how much time does it take? Because remember, time is money. The resources to use. So do you need internet? Do you need speaking stages? Who do you need to help you? Do you need telephones? Do you need to get on? You need seminars. Do you need to partner with people who can help you get speaking gigs? What are the resources that you need to fulfill your strategies? Then your tactics is how are you going to achieve your strategies? So if your goal is to get onto stages, well, then your tactics are going to be market through the internet, find partners to market through, do joint ventures, find affiliates, share stages with people. That's just to give you an example in the speaking industry. But figure out what the how is to your strategy. So once you've got your strategy, figure out how you're going to achieve it. Get steps. Write down the different steps that you're going to need to do in order to achieve them. The next thing is that you do your second strategy and you start all over again. Having one strategy is not good, because what if your strategy doesn't work? And how do you determine if your strategy doesn't work? Well, if you're not making money, it's not working. It's just as simple as that. So get a couple of strategies, 2 or 3 different strategies. Figure out the tactics, how to achieve them. Get your resources, get your team together. Because once you have your team together, you can roll out 2 or 3 strategies all at the same time instead of doing everything yourself. The next is your revenue modeling. Now, your revenue modeling is an interesting thing, because remember, this is not how much money do I have and how can I make use of this money. This is how much money do I want to have in order to get my business to where I want to go. It's future pacing. So how we start off is that in your revenue modeling, you do it for a year. So January to December, then you need to have your revenue stream. So what is it that you're actually selling? And here's what I recommend, I strongly recommend, is that you have at least 4 different products that you need to sell. Everything from a low ticket item from 50 Rand or 100 Rand, all the way up to your high ticket items. And that could be anything from 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever the case is. Have different products. Because when you have different products, you'll attract different people. And not everyone buys the first time. Sometimes people need to get to know you a little bit better. Remember that marketing is like dating. When you met someone for the first time, you didn't ask them to marry them on the first day. Heck, you didn't even ask them to marry you on the first week. If you get married to somebody, it takes months of dating before it even happens. So your revenue modeling, have different revenue streams. Then decide how much do you want to have sold. And what do you project that your revenue is actually going to be? Then every single month, you figure out what did you actually sell and how much did you actually produce. Did it meet your projections? Did it not meet your projections? Or did it exceed your projections? Remember that when you track what you're doing, you have value. You start collecting valuable data, which will help you move forward. If something's not working, well, you can kick it out and you can focus more energy on the things that are working. And it's always the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do brings 80% of the revenue. So keep that in mind as you do this, and constantly keep track of your sales, and constantly keep track of your revenue modeling. All right, so this is the 3 days to cash workshop. I actually left this slide in there by accident, but you can see there that people made money in the workshop. Total for the workshop was 186,378. So everything that I'm teaching you here in this workshop, everything that I'm teaching you here, we do in a 3-day workshop, super high, super fast pace, and as a result, people actually land up making money because of this. It's unbelievable. So the next thing is we're going to look at is protecting your business. Now, if you're like me, and if you're serious about your business, you need to treat it as an asset. And what do you do with assets? You protect your assets. Why do you protect your assets? Because if something happens to your house, you're going to have insurance. If something happens to your building, or something steals your car, breaks into your building, cleans you out, you need to be protected, because if that's not protected, or if it's not covered under insurance, you lose everything. Now, if you really want to make money, and if you really want to move your business and your life forward, treat your business as an asset. Protect it. Don't run your business in your personal capacity. Don't run your business as a sole trader. Put your business in a PTY. I know you can't do CCs anymore. Put your business in a PTY. Or if you're a non-profit, put it in an NPO or an NGO. If you're an incorporated, put it in an incorporated. Make sure that your business is protected. Once you've put it in an entity, figure out what your tax strategies are. Partner yourself with a good accountant, with a good bookkeeper, and that they understand the tax in South Africa. They understand how to work with SARS. They understand the ins and outs of moving money in a business. Because the last thing you want to do is pay unnecessary taxes. The last thing you want to do is have unnecessary liabilities. Get a good bookkeeper, one that kicks your butt. Because if they're not kicking your butt, well, then they're not good enough. And don't go for the little backyard guy. Find somebody who knows the system, who either worked in SARS, but you get good references, and don't just hire someone just because they're a bookkeeper and they say they've worked for SARS. Check their background. Who do they work with? What kind of businesses do they work with? What have they done in the past? Ask them for their financial statements. Because if they're not running their own business properly, how can they help you run your business properly? Because a bookkeeper is somebody that helps you run your business. The same thing with attorneys. Get a good attorney. You'll always need a good attorney. It has saved me many times in my life. Just figuring out what is the right thing to do. Sometimes it might be good to even pay them a retainer, if you're using them that much, if you deal with a lot of contractual work. Especially if you're getting an exceptional amount of customers, have a good attorney with you on a retainer, because you can always use the advice that will help you move your business forward. The next thing to do is forecasting. See where you want to be in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Figure out where you want to be, because that money strategy and that forecasting that you do, forecasting is more based around insurance. So protecting your business, get good business insurance. Because if you have a physical brick and mortar shop, I mean, Lord forbid, what would happen is that lightning strikes the building and your building burns down. If you're not protected, you lose everything. You lose your assets. You lose your revenue stream. You lose what you've worked so hard to build. But if you're protected with a good insurance, for example, if you're protected with a good insurance, then they cover your income stream. They replace your business. They replace everything in there. So even though you might not be able to trade immediately, you're not down and out. You're covered. I cannot stress the importance of insurance. Even if you work from home, if someone breaks into your house and steals your laptop, steals your actual business tools, what are you going to do? So another way of protecting, especially if you work from home, is protecting your intellectual property. Back all your information, back all your data up on the cloud. It's not good enough to just have it on storage devices, because if they become corrupt, well, then you lose everything too. So back it up in the cloud. There are a lot of very cheap programs out there where you can back up a lot of data. And then obviously protecting your assets. I think we've covered that pretty well. So once you've looked at your protecting, we're going to start looking at your sales and your marketing. So there are 5 things really that you need to make money. And it's not that difficult, but you need to have them clearly defined. If they're not clearly defined, well, you're kind of up in the air. And this is the thing that us as entrepreneurs can make mistakes in, because we get presented with so many opportunities. We're so open to opportunities that we start grabbing absolutely everything is out there. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to have your identity clearly defined. What do you do? Who are you? What is your service? So my name's Matt Clark, and I run Millionaire Maker Africa, and we work with entrepreneurs and business owners to get them to millionaire status. That's my identity. Do I have other business interests? Absolutely. But if I had to tell you about all the other business interests I have, well, my identity would get confused. You wouldn't know who I am. You wouldn't know what I do. So my identity is Millionaire Maker Africa. What do? I help create millionaires. 3 to 5 years is our goal. People have done it in as quick as 9 months, but that's up to you how quickly you work. So first thing, have your identity be clear and concise. Know what you're selling. What is your product? What is your physical product that you're selling? Write it out. Get it clear and defined. You need to have an influential offer. This is the biggest mistake that I see with entrepreneurs, is that they kind of tell me, yeah, well, this is kind of what I sell. I'm kind of, I sell cars, or I sell water purifications, or I'm a business coach, or it's not influential. It's not going to get me to move. So you need to have an influential offer. What do you do, and how does your service benefit me, and what is the cost? And remember how to find that out. The easiest way to find out what your influential offer is, ask your customers. Ask them what the most important thing that you provide is. Because if you find a commonality between everything that your customers provide you, well, what's going to happen is that other people will want the same thing as well. Once you have an influential offer, you need to talk to enough people. If you're not talking to 20, especially in the coaching game, or in the physical products and services game, if you're not speaking to 20 to 40 people on a daily basis, you're not going to make money. You're not going to get to where you want to go. And I don't mean physically, you have to physically speak to people face to face. I'm talking about connecting with people. All right? So you can talk to people online and offline. If you're talking to 10 people face-to-face in a day and you're speaking to 100 people online, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to dramatically increase your revenue. You need to have an online and an offline marketing strategy and sales strategy. And the last thing is the funniest thing, is that you need to ask for the cash. People get scared to ask for the money for the services that they provide. You know, it's almost as if you get given this amazing gift from God. And you're like, well, thanks God for the gift, but it's not worth anything. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. People are scared to ask for the money, or they're scared to ask for the amount of money that they feel is the value. They undervalue themselves. Ask for the money on a daily basis. You know, if you ask 10 people for money, someone's going to bite. If you get 10% of that, someone's going to bite. We normally work on a 30% ratio. If you have all of these things clearly defined, you have your identity, you know what you're selling, you have an influential offer, you talk to enough people, and you ask for the cash, well, guess what's going to happen? You're suddenly going to get some cash. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I like cash on a daily basis. So as your team, as the leader of your team, you need to be able to inspire. You need to be able to motivate. You need to be able to maintain and communicate your vision. The biggest job for a leader is to inspire his team and to guide them. It's to show them the path, because he already has the path clearly defined. He has the vision clearly defined. And in that vision, you need people to help fulfill that vision. But they also need to be guided, because remember, it's your vision. When you create your vision, and if you have a business and if you have a team around you, discuss your vision with them. It might change. And that's okay if it changes. Because what's happening then is that you're getting a vision that everybody has. You're getting a vision that everybody works towards. You're getting a vision that everybody strives to reach that goal, to reach that vision. And remember, even though the vision isn't going to be attained, the strategies and tactics are still your daily to-dos, your what and your how, in order to get there. You need to guide and lead your people. You see, management is doing the right thing, but management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. There's a quote by Peter F. Drucker. I see I made a bit of a mistake there. That's okay. So we're going to look at future pacing. The biggest thing as a leader is when you paint your vision, don't paint it just as you're saying, like how Nike or like how Walt Disney is to make people happy. But you've got a future pace. You've got to look at what does your revenue look like. Remember, we went through the revenue modeling. So here's future pacing. Determine where you want to be in a year's time. Write it down clearly and concisely. Where do you want to be in a year's time? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? And I strongly recommend you don't do this by yourself. I strongly recommend you do this with your team. And if you don't have a physical team, you don't have people in your employ at the moment, well, that's okay too. When I started my business, what I did was that the team that I grew around me was not a physical team of people in my office. The way I grew my team was that I met people over the internet that could fulfill certain roles. But I didn't just choose anybody, I interviewed them. I interviewed them on Skype. I asked them what their business was like, what their business is doing, how they grew their business. Because if they can grow their business, they can help me grow mine. I also asked them, what is their vision? How many people do they have in their team? Where do they want to be in a year? Where do they want to be in 5 years? Because remember, if you are working with people who don't have a clear defined vision, you're not going to go anywhere. So when I sat down with my team, I mean, I had graphic designers, website designers, I had lawyers, I had bookkeepers. When I sat down with these team, I mean, none of them were in my direct employ, but I still had to lead them. I still had to share my vision with them. I still had to make sure that they were on the same page as me. And I was very transparent about my business. I showed them my revenue model. I showed them how much money I wanted to make in what period of time. Because if they know what my goal is, they can help me achieve it. They can help me work to get to that goal on a daily basis. And that's what I want. That's what you want. So here's a quick and easy way to get this done and to really help you as a business owner and a leader. So you need to ask yourself the what, when, with whom, and accountable to whom. So the what is the task to be completed? When does it need to be finished by? With whom do you need to connect? And who is going to hold you accountable? You see, the biggest thing as an entrepreneur is that we hold people accountable to get certain jobs done. But who holds us accountable? Who makes sure that we get to the goals that we say that we're going to achieve, or the milestones that we're going to reach? This is why we have business coaches. This is why we have mentors. This is why it's so important to have these people in our lives. But don't only get held accountable to your mentors and your coaches, but get accountable to your team members as well. And when you ask yourself these questions, write it down. What is the task? Write that down. When does it need to be finished? Put a date and a time. With whom do you need to connect? Well, who are the people what is the team you need to put together in order to make this work? And who's going to hold you accountable? Either your coach, your mentor, or people in your actual team. Write this down when you start tasks. It makes things so much easier and things get done. And as an entrepreneur, we don't want to get distracted. We want to get things done. We want to sift through what is a nice to have and what is a necessity to have. What needs to be done right now versus what do we want to be done right now. This will help you sift through all of that. And when you're speaking to your team, look for solutions. Come up with solutions. When you're speaking to your team, when you're identifying problems, when you're identifying issues that happen in your business, ask the questions in a way that produces solutions. Right. I never go to my team and say to them, these are the problems, how are we going to sort them out? We address the issues in a way that requests solutions, whereby you're asking people the problems in such a way that they have to join in, so that you don't go to your team with this negative energy all the time. You go to the guys with the solutions mindset. How are we going to move this forward, guys? This is where we're at right now. This is where we want to get. These are our challenges. So figure out the strategy and tactics. Ask the questions that are going to generate solutions. I strongly recommend that when your team come to you with problems, get them to ask you the problems as a question. And very often they come up with the solution by themselves because they're asking themselves the question. It's a very interesting dynamic, but it works fantastically. So where will you be 1 year from now? I want you to think about this, because the definition of insanity, Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing daily and expecting different results. So if a year from now, if you're still doing the same things as you're doing today and not taking action, you're going to be in exactly the same place. And if you're happy with that, well, then that's okay. But if you're not happy with that, there's things that you need to get done. Have all these things defined. Know your 7 steps. Make sure you have them clearly defined, your 7 pillars. Make sure you have them clearly defined and make sure you act on them, which is more important. Right? So when you start today, you learn how to earn money, you learn how to accumulate money, you learn how to invest money, and you learn how to spend money and manage it like a pro. So don't give your life away for free. Now, what is the next step? So I want to tell you what the next step is from here. I've actually done pretty well with my time, and so I've actually got time to tell you guys another story. So what is the next step from here? Well, the next step is that you can request a strategy session. What is a strategy session? Well, we figure out where you are and we see if there's a way that we can help you to get to where you want to go. We see if there's a fit. Now, there's no pressure in this. There's no hard selling or anything like this. This is a good strategy session. So all you do is you request a strategy session and we help you figure out where you are and we see if there's a fit. How do you do this? Well, you visit this website. So mattclarkinc.leadpages.net/MMA strategy session. Now, it is a little bit of a long URL, so I'm going to leave it up there for a bit. Then you can also visit our website at millionaireMakerAfrica.com. And if you want to speak to a person, you can contact us on 081-467-8803. So I want to leave you guys with a thought, with a story. A story of a guy by the name of Michael Downing. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been faced with a situation that has caused you to really rethink the way you look at things, that really takes you out of your comfort zone. You see, Michael Downing was the head of a very large bank, and he was asked to go and speak to the war veterans all over the world. And he went to this war veteran hospital in Germany, and he sat down to speak to these war veterans. And I mean, they were battered and bruised. They'd been shot. They'd had limbs blown off. They were amputees. I mean, the guys were in really, really bad state. They were really down and out. Now, Michael Downing went and sat down in front of them, and he said to them, he started off his speech saying, "I want you guys to know that anything is possible. The world is an open place to you if you put your mind to it. And I really hope that you achieve what you want. I really hope that you dream big, because you can achieve anything." And they were really down and out. So they started booing. The booing got so bad that he had to sit down and take a breath. And what he did next absolutely shocked them. He sat down on the table and he started to remove his prosthetic left leg. Then he removed his prosthetic right leg. Then he removed his left arm. And then he removed his right hand. You see, what the soldiers didn't know was that Michael Downing, when he was 14 years old, he was sitting there was a snowstorm, and he was sitting in the back of a cart traveling with his parents. And he'd fallen out of the back of the cart. And by the time his parents realized that he wasn't in the cart anymore, he was so badly, the frostbite was so bad that they had to amputate his left leg at the knee, his left and right legs at the knee, his left arm at the shoulder, and his right hand at the wrist. So while he was sat down there and he'd removed all his prosthetic limbs and he was just a stump of a man, he started his speech again. He said to the soldiers, "You know, I want you to know that anything is possible. I hope that you dream big dreams, because if you put your mind to it, you can make them come true." I think that is one of the greatest speeches that has ever been given. One of the most inspiring speeches that has ever been given. So here's in closing, here's my message to you, is that I hope that you dream big dreams, because anything is possible. And if you put all these steps into place, and you have all of these clearly defined, you can achieve anything. And what I'd like you to do is that we help you become that millionaire. We help you achieve those dreams. We help you get to those steps. So request a strategy session. It doesn't hurt to have a chat with us. You'll find that we love talking to people and we love inspiring people. Claim your free strategy session today and you will leave with your millionaire vision, strategies and tactics to achieve your vision, and a solid sales and marketing plan to make money daily. So click the link below, claim your free strategy session. It costs absolutely nothing, and we'll get in touch with you.